the only time we had together with the children would be Sunday, because I made that a rule. Parang he felt a little guilty na when he had all the time, well, when he was free, he could not take them out, and here they were coming. And I said, oh, kalimutan na yun, you know, anyway, they're happy to be with you. And I think it was February 23 of 1973 when we were told by the authorities in Fort Bonifacio that our visits to Ninoy had been suspended.
They brought me to a mountain hideout in the Sierra Madre and placed me in a box. I had only my brief and my t-shirt. I refused to eat because I thought they were poisoning me. There was nothing in the room, barely nothing. And I had nothing to do but twiddle my thumb. And for the first time in my life, I heard the ticking of every second, and I was counting every second into minutes. And as the minutes marched into hours, and the hours into days, and days into weeks, I knew what loneliness meant.
It was April 8, or April 7, the Supreme Court came out with this decision appealing to the authorities in Fort Bonifacio to allow Nena Diokno and me to visit our husbands. Colonel Ramos, who became General Ramos then, and he said, yes, we will take you to where they are. We couldn't tell anybody. Before leaving Makati, I passed by my parents' house, and I told my father that makakabisita yata kami kay Ninoy, pero hindi pa sinasabi kung saan. Then I told my younger sister, Pasi, sabi ko, Pasi, can you give me a tranquilizer? Dahil hindi ko alam kung sa kami dadalhin eh. Sige, ito. Then she gave me a tranquilizer, which I thought was similar to mine. So we went, and when we got to Fort Magsaysay, the lieutenant who accompanied us, Lieutenant Bueno, he was telling us that the Dioknos will go first, and then after 30 minutes, the Aquinos will go. So, nauna nga yung mga Diokno, and when they were coming out, nagulat kami dahil umiiyak yung mga daughters ni Nena. And we were surprised because alam naman na hindi naman iyakin yung mga Diokno. No? And so, my daughters were asking the Diokno girls, why, what happened? And you will know, sinabi nilang ganon. So, when we were ushered in, it was like a trapezoid. And so, of chicken wire. Then there was another, maybe 2 feet or 3 feet apart. So we were told to stand there. Then Ninoy came. And he was standing also behind this chicken wire fence. And I could hardly recognize him because he had lost so much weight. And he kept holding onto his pants. Parang, later on, I found out that he had lost so much weight, he had to hold onto his pants because they had taken away his belt. And he had no eyeglasses. They had taken that away from him also. And what really made me feel so bad was when he saw us, he started to sob. It was the first time I saw Ninoy cry. And he said, akala ko hindi ko na kayo makikita.
And I want to tell you, my friends, until you have tasted this loneliness, you will not know what solitary confinement means.
When he was sobbing like that, my 3 older daughters, si Bol, si Pinky, and Vel, started crying also. Then he said, I don't know if this will be the last time I'll see you. And then I remember Bol said, no, Dad, don't worry, our luck is changing. I had never seen Ninoy, but ready to give up and really so helpless, which he never was before. And I was saying, hindi, Ninoy, basta magdasal na lang tayo. Then he thought of, ganito na lang, every 8 o'clock at night, you pray the rosary and also pray the rosary. So at that time, at least, we know that we are praying for each other. So ako, sige, maganda nga yun. What was very surprising, and this is what Ninoy later on wrote in his diary, that he felt so ashamed and embarrassed that there he was sobbing and I was not crying at all. Of course, I didn't tell him until much later, Ninoy, binigyan ako ng tranquilizer na pala doble nung dating kino. Kanya talagang parang ang tapang-tapang ko talaga, no tears, nothing. And I'm glad that at least at that time, parang one of us was still able to talk. Maybe it took, I would say, almost a year and a half or close to 2, when we finally accepted the fact that, yes, maybe we have not sinned or have not been as terrible as other people, but let us think of Jesus Christ, who certainly did no wrong, and yet he had to suffer and die for our sins.
I knew early on, and I discovered that there is a God who is just. Na merong isang Panginoon na ibibigay sa atin ang ating kagandahang ginawa at paparusahin tayo sa ating kamaliang nagawa rin. It is because of that faith in my divine Creator that sustained me all these years. All I had to do was call for a telephone that was outside my room. All I had to do was pick it up and tell Mr. Marcos, Brad, tapos na, ayos na, I'm throwing the towel.
If Ninoy had gone through maybe just a short time in detention, he would not have become the person that he became.
Before martial law, I believe in God. I mumbled the prayers like any other Catholic in the Philippines. But it was skin deep. You know, more or less superstition yun eh. But when I was brought to Laur, where I had my real great spiritual crisis in Laur, I started from the beginning and I disowned God.
In Ninoy's case, I think it really grew roots, and he really learned from that very difficult experience. But the best thing that happened to both of us, that we really became that much closer to the Lord, and that we believed that whatever happens, the best thing to do is to just entrust yourself and all your problems to the Lord.
So you should not lose faith. You know, this will all come. Magtanim ka at anihin mo. Gumawa ka ng mabuti, iyo rin. Gumawa ka ng masama, iyo rin. And the Lord said, you know, vengeance is not yours but mine. In His own sweet time, aabutin niyo. That's why, to me, the greatest book that I've discovered here in my imprisonment is the book of Job. Yes. I keep on reading and reading the book of Job because I feel that this is where the Lord taught mankind how to take adversity and vicissitudes. Diyan ka masusubok. And it's really very enlightening. And yet, you know, kung hindi ka mabibilanggo, hindi mo ma-appreciate eh. You know, you'll never really appreciate. I've read the Bible when I was out, but I really never appreciated it until I got in. And for which reason, I'm happy na nangyari na ito. Nangyari na eh. Pero I think I'm a better human being now. I can look at problems more objectively.
I was constantly getting reports from Manila. Reports talk about possible assassination plots. One report said they won't let me land in Manila. I was so worried, kinabahan ako, so I prayed. The ground personnel of the airlines gave me and my passport a long and suspicious look. Naku, ito na, sabi ko, dali na ako. Nakahinga ako talaga when they gave me a boarding pass and sent me away.
Cory, wala tayong chance dito. This is martial law. And only one man makes the laws. They wanted me to fix deep in my mind that this is a no-win situation.
Many witnesses were paraded before me. I never saw them in my life. And yet they were pointing fingers at me, accusing me of crimes I never committed. They admitted to crimes. They said they were communists. They said they were number 3 in the communist hierarchy. And yet the government set them free, and I was in jail.
Senator Tañada told me, alam mo, Cory, dahil ayaw mag-participate ni Ninoy, he can be sentenced right then and there, and there's nothing we can do, because if he does not want to participate, then that means he's not going to object to whatever.
I went on a hunger strike as a protest to what they did to me in the military commission. But more than a symbolic protest, I must admit I had a death wish. I wanted to die.
He was saying, you know, if I go, then my suffering will end, and that is my prayer. But if I don't go, then that means Jesus wants me to do something more. And I said, well, think of it that way, because I really didn't want him to have a death wish. So this is what happened for 40 days and 40 nights.
I know what it is to go on hunger strike. On the 10th day, my friend, your stomach will actually be only a handful.